Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Dangerous in Excel. And today's episode, we're going to be looking at date functions. This episode is going to be a little bit on the shorter side, but as always, check the comments and the description, and you can see the timestamps for the individual topics if you want to jump ahead to something specific. But if not, we're going to go ahead and get started with the first topics. Okay, so these are the topics that we're going to be going over today. Now, today, day, month, year, weekday, weeknum, Edate, and Eomonth. So each of these does something a little bit different, and we're going to be going through them just to see exactly what they do and how they act with specific inputs. So first off, the now function. Well, before I get into now, these are really good if you're doing, maybe payroll, something like that. You want to keep track of days that employees came into work, or maybe they didn't come into work, and you need to keep track of all of those dates and times and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started now with actually the now function. So we're going to start off with equals now, and it says here returns the current date and time formatted as a date and time. Okay, so we're going to press tab, and you can see that this function doesn't actually require any syntax. We can come in here, just close that parentheses, and it gives us the exact date and time of right now. It is March 19th, 2023, and it gives us military time. But if we wanted to, we could come into format here and make this the actual standard time. But it is 1:55 right now. So that's correct. And keep an eye on this time right here, because as we enter more and more functions, this is going to automatically update to the current time. So just for example, let's put just 3 plus 5, and you can see 356 because it actually is 356 now. So let's get rid of that. That's actually formatted as date. That's why that popped up like that. I was doing something different earlier. Okay, so now we have a good grasp of now. So now is exactly right now, and it's going to automatically change as the time progresses. Even whenever tomorrow comes around, and it's going to be March 20th, if we come into this sheet and do something in here, then it's going to update to the exact date and time. Okay, so now that we have a decent grasp of now, let's go into today's function. And today is exactly what it sounds like. Returns the current date formatted as a date. So we're going to tab that, and again, just like the now function, we don't actually need any type of input here. So we can go ahead and close these parentheses, and it gives us the actual date. Another way that we could do this is, first off, this is exactly like now. So say tomorrow we come into this sheet, this is going to say March 20th instead of March 19th. If you want today's actual date without, typing out 3/19/2023, you can just press Control and the colon button, and it pops up as today's date. And if you want the actual time right now, you actually do Control Shift and the colon button, and it comes up as today's actual time. So that's another way that you can add in the date and the time without it automatically updating like the now and today's functions do. Okay, so now that we've gone over today, let's go ahead and jump into the day function. So we'll go ahead and type this out to see what this says for us. Returns the day of the month in a number from 1 to 31. So of course the actual date of the month. And we go ahead and tab, and then it's asking us for an actual input. So we do have to put an input in for this, and we could just say use this today function and close our parentheses, enter that, and of course it is the 19th. So maybe you didn't want the entire date, just like this here, and you just wanted the day of the month. That's a really easy way to get the actual day of the month. So the day gives us the day of the month, but keep in mind that we are referencing this B3 cell. So as the day changes, so say like tomorrow, it's going to be the 20th, this is actually going to change as well to the 20th. So if you want this to stay static on today's actual date instead of being dynamic and keep updating as the days go on, you would have to use this instead. So just keep that in mind whenever you're referencing cells that automatically update based off of the days and other conditions like that. So we're going to go into the month now. So let's see what Excel tells us returns the month, a number from 1 to 12. So let's enter that. And again, it's asking us for a serial number. And again, we can use this today's date. And today is today's month is March, so it's going to give us a 3. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory, like this day, month, year. Same thing here, year. It's going to give us the year, and we can use this again. Same thing, 2023. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory, like I said, but they do come in handy just to know them and use them for different specific instances. Okay, so now on to weekday, and this is a little bit different. So we're going to type in weekday and see that, it returns a number from 1 to 7. So it doesn't actually give us the day. It gives us the number that corresponds with the day. So let's tab that out, and it's asking us for a serial number. We're going to use our same today function up here, and see that it's asking us something different here. We can comma this, and it's asking us for a return type. Now, if we don't type anything in here, then we don't have to. We can just close these parentheses, and it'll tell us that today is the first day of the week. It goes off of Sunday to Saturday. So today would be Sunday. Today is the first day of the week. But let's go back in here and change our return type to something different. We don't have to, but there's a couple different things in here that you can choose from if you want your day to start at a different day of the week, or if you want your week to start on a different day. Yeah, that's a better way to say it. Okay, so let's get rid of that because we don't really care about that. And it's just going to give us the 1. And we can check that too and say equals text. We're going to use this value, and we want this in day format. And it's going to give us Sunday. We can also change this to 2 Monday, 3 Tuesday. So that's just an easy way, to kind of explain how that works. Okay, so that was weekday. And now let's go on to Weeknum. So this sounds pretty much like it reads out. It is the number of the week in the year. So let's tab that in. It's asking us for a serial number. We're going to keep on using today's date. And again, this is asking us for a return type. We don't have to put that return type, but if we wanted to, we can come here and see that Sunday, week begins on a Sunday, week begins on a Monday, again on a Monday, a Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. So, there's a couple of different things that we can choose from if we want our week to start on a different day. But we're going to go ahead and close that parentheses, and we can see that it is the 12th week of this year so far. So that's Weeknum. And, I really don't use too many of these. Mostly the ones I use would be today, and I do use month every so often, but I do use this pretty often too, this text. And we can change this up a little bit. Let's redo this. Let's come over here and say text. We want this value to be in, what's the month? And we can see that it's March. See, so that's another way. I like to use this a lot whenever I'm doing different transactions, so I can see the month instead of looking at the actual full date. But, that's something that's just my personal preference. Okay, so on to the next, we have Edate. So let's pick Edate, and you can see that it returns the serial number of the date that is indicated, that is the indicated number of months before or after the start date. So let's tab that out. So it really is, it's asking us for a start date. So we're going to pick a start date. And then we're going to pick the number of months that we want after that date, or we could go with a negative number to put before that date. So let's just see how this works out as an example. We're going to keep using our today date up here, and then our months, let's just say 1 month, and this should give us April. See, just like that, and it's the exact 1 month away from our start date. We could come back in here and say -1, and it should give us February's date, just like that. So you can kind of play around with this, and specific instances, I'm not sure where you would need something like this, but I do see this come up every now and then type of thing. And then end of the month. So this is Eomonth. returns the serial number of the last day of the month before or after a specified number of months. So we'll tab that in there. Again, it's asking us for the start date. Let's go ahead and just use this date here. And then let's say 1 month. And see that it's giving us this number because Excel doesn't actually see this as a date. It thinks that this is, it does see this as a date, but it gives us this number instead. We have to come into our formatting and change it to a date. So we did put 1 month as our step rate, kind of, if you would think of it that way. But so it did jump into March, and it gave us the 31st. So that is the 31st. If we would come in here and put this as a 0, then it would give us the end of February. But let's go ahead. We can change this back to just 1 and see how it dynamically changes, because these cells are all interconnected. So this is connected to that and so on. But yeah, that's kind of how this works. One other thing I wanted to show while we were doing this. We do have this formatted as a date, and it is a short date. But if we wanted to, we can go to a long date, and it'll give us the entire Sunday, April 30th, 2023, just like that. Same thing with here. We can come in here, change this to a long date, and it gives us the entire date of today. So that's another way that you can kind of look at different dates, short dates and long dates, and as well as time. So if we came in here and chose time, there are some different ways that we can play around with this in the formatting menu and in more number formats. But yeah, this is just, some different things that you can see if you want to change up the formatting of how your dates and times look, just for your information. Again, this is just an introductory course into a lot of how these things work. So, that kind of sums up today's episode. I said it would be a little bit of a shorter episode. I don't use too many of these functions very often. Sometimes, especially if you're calculating payroll or something like that for a company and you want to know dates and times, especially when people clock in and out or something like that, this would be particularly useful. But for what I use and for what I do for my clients, I don't really use these too much as of now. But, that could always change. But yeah, if you did enjoy the video, I would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. We always got more content dropping every Monday morning. So keep that in mind. But I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Thanks. I'll see y'all next time.